Brian Alder.
I'm Aaron Gemmel.
And today we join you, as you may know, as the college basketball player who used to shoot only three-pointers. But today we have guest starring former St. John and Oakland guard Max Hooper. Max, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate you guys reaching out and setting it up, making it happen.
Oh, of course, anytime.
Absolutely, Max.
All right, so we're going to get right rolling with questions, and I'm going to start you off with the first one. So to start off, where did you go to high school? And in high school, did you play any other sports besides basketball?
In high school, I actually went to three high schools, but I started off at Valley Christian High School in San Jose, and then did 3 years there, transferred for my senior year to Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California, and then ultimately did a postgraduate year at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire. So pretty much all over the map, but, had great experiences at all three places and got the most out of that experience for sure. And definitely did not play any other sports. Was all in on hoops from a fairly young age. So that was, my pursuit and my path. So that's kind of what led me to where I am now. So that's my journey right there in a nutshell, I suppose, through high school.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. So coming out of high school, Max, did you get any offers from any like the Power 5 schools, Big Ten, SEC, ACC, Pac-12, or the Big 12?
No. Towards as I committed, I started off, at Harvard. That was where I first started off, and when I was deciding, it was really between Harvard, Oakland, and maybe a couple of that type of level school. So those were the level that was the level that I was focused on, but. Interestingly enough, the reason why I ended up at St. John's, in a higher level conference was when I was playing at Brewster Academy, my roommate and teammate was Jakar Sampson, currently on the Indiana Pacers, who was committed to St. John's. So the St. John's coaches were constantly watching me play. And then when I decided to leave Harvard, they were like, we need a three-point shooter. We've been watching this kid play pretty much for the whole season at Brewster while recruiting Jakar. And they already had their evaluation done on me and felt like it would be a good fit. So that kind of unconventional way of how I wiggle my way into one of the Power 6 schools.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot goes into it in college and everything. Just if you're scouting other players and looking all around, see another talent as yourself. I mean, yeah, definitely a good way to put yourself out there. But before your time at St. John's, like you said, you're deciding at first between Harvard and Oakland. What made you choose going to Harvard, and what did you plan on studying there?
Right. I mean, Harvard is Harvard. It's a tremendous opportunity for anyone, and it's hard to really turn down the opportunity when you're good enough to get in. Well, good enough to be recruited there, first of all, to play Division I basketball at the Ivy League, but then academically and other types of extracurricular activities qualify you to be able to even get in the school. That's a heck of an accomplishment. So for me, the program was trending in the right way. We were actually, the year I spent there, we were ranked in the top 25. So we were a really good program, as well as the academic combination. For me, it felt like something that I really couldn't turn down. And in the end, I ended up leaving just because it just wasn't the right fit for me, and just had some life situations that made me want to look elsewhere and kind of get a fresh start. But I'm grateful for that opportunity. And as far as what I was going to study, ultimately my undergrad from St. John's was in psychology, so I probably would have pursued that. But mainly I was just focused on hoops. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's definitely a great accomplishment for you. Yeah, congratulations on that. From early on that, that's amazing.
Appreciate it.
So Max, what you were saying about your time at Harvard, what was your best memory at Harvard, either on or off the court there?
Being the first Harvard team to ever go to the NCAA tournament. I wasn't really in the rotation. It wasn't a big part of what we were doing, but I continued to work my butt off, continue to improve my individual skills outside of practice, even when I wasn't really playing that much and wasn't in the rotation. But just to be a part of that, I mean, if you look, I mean, what else has Harvard not accomplished? They pretty much, they're at the top of every single other field. But, back then they've really never been to the NCAA tournament, like not even in, the 1940s, 50s, 60s. No, never until 2012, I think it was. So that was pretty awesome to be a part of, and really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely impressive. I don't remember Harvard's run in that tournament, but I assume they probably won in the round of 64 and probably advanced. You guys probably did. But definitely Harvard making a run like that because Ivy League, it's so cutthroat between Harvard, Princeton, Penn, Brown, and all the other schools. So I mean, good for you guys. That's a great accomplishment.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing. And you already talked about why you left Harvard, like it wasn't the right fit for you, and that going to St. John's because of like the opportunities you get there to get to a higher level in basketball. So at St. John's, what was your favorite experience on and off the court?
Um, being able to, I can't point to one, but being able to play in Madison Square Garden for sure. That being your home court, it's pretty incredible. When you walk in there and you see the St. John signage, and it's pretty cool because when you play at St. John's, for example, the billboard outside of the Madison Square Garden, it'll have like pictures of you on it. You'll be on the bus, on the train, like for advertising. So it's really cool. It's a pretty incredible experience to be able to play there, play in the Big East, play against great schools like Villanova,
Yeah.
Georgetown, Marquette, Providence, etc. So I mean, for me, I was in and out of the rotation, averaged about 9 minutes a game. So like I worked so hard and gave it everything I had, and I just felt like I wanted more than that. So I wasn't happy with my year there, and we just missed the NCAA tournament, so that was a bit of a heartbreaker. But for me, playing in Madison Square Garden as well as playing, we played at the Barclays Center and I played against Penn State. I hit 5 threes, and we lost a heartbreaker in double overtime. So that was a pretty cool moment. That was one of the few times I really got a significant amount of minutes and got a chance to get out there and get in the mix. But when I played, I feel like I hit shots and ended up shooting 40% from 3 there. So
Impressive.
didn't get enough of them up though. So
I mean, not too many college players in today's game, or even players in the NBA, can put up that good of a statistic when it comes from coming from the 3-point arc. So when you're coming up bench at St. John's, stuff like that, did you only shoot 3-pointer? Did the 3-pointer trend start at St. John's, or did they have a game plan when you came in to shoot threes? Was that the offensive game plan when you checked in, or how
right. Well,
St. John's?
I'm sure we're going to talk about this some more later on, as we get into the Oakland phase of things. But I mean, I'll just start to touch on it now. Like anyone who played with me, played against me, coached me, anything like in high school and early, like they would know I was a 3-point shooter. Like that's what I brought to the table. But probably 90% of my shots were threes. You know what I mean? I'd get the backdoor layup. I'd get the run out. I'd do the shot fake, one dribble, mid-range, pull up. And, at St. John's, I think I shot a couple mid-range and maybe a layup or two. But, as we trended into through my junior and then into my senior year at Oakland, we just took it to the full extreme. I feel like all the stars had to align for that to be able to take place. And, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now, but I'll let you guys ask the question. I'll get to that later on for sure.
All right. So like you said, after your sophomore season at St. John's, you transferred to Oakland University, literally just right down the road from us.
Really awesome.
Where we live. But the two of us don't go there. I go to Central Michigan University, and Brian goes to Michigan State.
My sister actually went to Oakland, though.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So tell us, did Oakland give you did they give you a scholarship, or do you think it was the best choice for you going to Oakland? Because you said earlier it was one of your top choices between Harvard and Oakland. So what finally made you choose? Like, all right, Oakland's the number one school for me.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Campy, and there's been articles and stuff and quotes from him where he said Max is the player we recruited for the longest. So they started recruiting me right after my senior year at Mater Dei, so that would have been 2010, and I didn't commit there until May 2014. So they recruited me for 4 seasons. When I was coming out of high school, I decided to go to prep school. When I was coming out of prep school, I decided to go to Harvard. When I left Harvard, I went to St. John's. So I turned him down 3 times. So he was a little bit frustrated by that. But ultimately, his persistence, it really was, anyone who knows the Oakland program knows that they always have a 3-point shooter, year in and year out. The Travis Baders, the Kendrick Nuns, the Eric Kangases. You know, you can go down the line, look through the history books. There's always a guy who really, really gets up the shots, tons of threes. And for me, I think Greg Campy was so consistent in recruiting me because he knew I was a perfect fit for the system, and he knew I was exactly what he wanted the program to, you know, what he needed in his program. And he believes he needs one player who shoots 10 threes every game in order to be successful as an offensive team. And his offensive track record speaks for itself. You know, his teams have led the nation in scoring multiple times and put out, you know, 4 NBA players now. So out of a tiny school like Oakland, no one knew Oakland 15 years ago. And what he's been able to do, even though he's been there for so long, but what he's been able to do, it's pretty incredible. And offensively, I would say he's an offensive genius, and 3-point shooting is a huge part of that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with all the 3-point shooters and the offense that you guys had, paired you up with Kay Felder and stuff like that. So I mean, just you two alone were pretty lethal in the front court. So it was so great. I mean, Coach Campy is basically, he's just like Tom Izzo in a way. You know, been around for so long to change the program, and you know, the two of them have really big caliber careers too. And we'll get to when you guys play Michigan State in a minute. So those are some games that some classics there. So
next for you, before like Aaron said, before we get to your Oakland career and there on out, we're gonna start our rapid fire 7 category. So basically, we're just gonna shoot you out 7 random questions just about you, just to get to know you better, so the viewers at home know who Max Hooper really is. So are you ready to start?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll start you off. So what was your favorite college town to visit as an opponent?
College town to visit as an opponent. Just off the top of my head, because we're going quick. When we played at Washington, we actually flew into Portland, Oregon, swung by the Nike campus, which was pretty sweet, and then drove up to. I think we took a bus up to Seattle to play Washington. So, and especially coming from Michigan, you know. No disrespect, you know, to Ohio and Indiana. Like, they're just, you know, it's just not as exciting as like a shiny city like Seattle or something like that. You know, in that Horizon League, I don't know if there's not too many sexy cities you're going to between I don't know, Dayton and wherever those teams are. So that was a pretty cool one for sure.
Yeah, trust me, that's how the Mid-American is too. You don't get really too many shining cities as opposed to the Big Ten.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to be politically correct.
So, Max, what was your go-to food during this whole quarantine and pandemic?
Well, I eat a lot, and I stay really active. You know, I'm constantly exercising, constantly, you know, trying to stay as fit as I can while I'm locked down in the house. So. A big thing. I'm big on smoothies, so I always pack smoothies with a bunch of fruits and vegetables and protein powder. That's my go-to, I'd say.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds delicious, honestly. So next, what was your favorite music artist and song by that artist?
Well, I'm always good for like a good, you know, pump up song. So pre-game, it was always March Madness by Future. Yeah, just a vibe, you know, just a vibe for sure.
All right. So, Matt, what was your favorite place to eat around Oakland's campus?
There was man. I was just thinking about this place the other day, dude. It's in downtown Rochester. I can't remember the name, but it's like a sit down restaurant. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's right on the corner off of Main Street in downtown Rochester, but I forget the name. So I apologize.
But no, don't worry. But hey,
it's been 4 years since I've been there, so I need to look it up.
Yeah, recently they just put in a Chick-fil-A right by there, so it's brand new.
See, that would have been a game changer, but that wasn't there when I was there.
So yeah, that they just opened that up about 2 years ago. So
that's Chick-fil-A is amazing. So no matter if it was this summer because of Corona or just in general, but what is a favorite summer activity you like to partake in?
I mean, it's hoops year round for me, man. Pretty much that's it. Hoops or read a book. I'm simple, man. Hoops, read a book.
Keep it simple.
Hang out with my girlfriend or family. That's about it.
Keep it simple, right? Yeah.
That's solid, yeah.
So, Matt, what is the longest 3-pointer you've ever made by distance in a game?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm Trey Young, but there's quite a few deep ones. So, off the top of my head, probably had to be at least 30 feet. I can't think of one that stands out, but I mean, I was never shy to like pull it from deep.
Yeah, just keep it simple, keep it in the corners, keep it stuff like that. So just keep it simple like that.
It definitely always worked out for you, so no complaint there at all. But the last question for you, though, for Rapid Fire 7, what was your favorite thing to do in California?
Well, when I was working for the Lakers this year, going to the beach was always a good one. You know, because you can the practice facilities right next to the airport, and that's like not even a mile away from the beach. You can just pop over to leave practice. Once you're ready to get home and get out of work, and just swing by the beach if you need to. That's never a bad thing. So
Nice.
All right, so thank you Max for doing Rapid Fire 7. So let's go into your Oakland career here. Tell us what your first thoughts and impressions of Oakland's campus when you arrived.
Well, the first time I visited, they tricked me because it was in August, you see. And August is this tricky thing in Michigan where there's no snow on the ground. So they no, I'm joking. So that was my first impression. So obviously, I went to high school in New Hampshire where I was in Boston, so I knew what winter was, and knew that like what it was like to be in the cold. But coming to Oakland, in the summer, it's beautiful there. Really, it's pretty warm and it's pretty nice in the summer. So campus is bigger than you expect and everything. But really, all that mattered to me was the arena and all right, how close can I live as possible to this gym, because I'm going to be going back and forth as much as possible. And yeah, maybe I'll throw in some classes here and there. I'm kidding, of course, but I went to class and got my graduate degree, so I did that. But yeah, it was just I came to campus in 2010, August 2010, and played pickup with the team. Got to know Coach Campy a little bit. They showed me around the surrounding area and everything like that. So it was cool. It was a really good first impression.
Nice. That's good to hear. So with that first impression, and like you said, classes, playing there, living in Michigan, was it easy to adjust to Oakland quickly, or did it take some time?
No, it was easy because like I said, I had been around already. Like I had moved around in high school. I was used to that. I was used to new teammates, new coaches, new systems. Just being able to adjust and be able to fit yourself in wherever you fit. And the beauty about Oakland is, as a 3-point shooter, from day one, you kind of have a fit and a role carved out for you at Oakland. So you're not, fighting to – you're trying to impress the coaches every day with your work ethic and showing them that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win. But you're not worried about carving out a role for yourself, because that role has been carved out over the last 20 years through the history of the 3-point shooters. So if you just do your job, you know that Campy's going to have confidence in you and he's going to put you in the spots to succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's because that's what Oakland's been known for in college basketball for the past 10, 15 years. So now, Max, you've gotten some national attention from your time at Oakland by never taking a 2-point shot, only shooting threes, like we've said. Is like we mentioned earlier, is this something that Coach Campy had designed? He designed it for the entire team. Is it just for you, or you were just plugged in? Like, all right, you're a 3-point shooter. You're plugged into this role, and this is how we're going to run our offense.
Sure. I mean, it's a question I continue to get a lot. Because some people kind of, I'm not going to say accused me, but they just thought I was kind of doing it for kind of a circus act or whatever like that. But for me, it was I mean, if you're shooting almost 8 threes a game at 45%, I don't consider that a circus act. That's making something happen on the offensive end of the floor. So for me, it was just number one, just doing my job, doing what's asked of me. And anytime there's Kay, like you mentioned, Kay Felder, and we played so well together. Anytime that he couldn't get a shot off and he was getting in the lane, he was always looking for me, trying to find me. Played with really good big men like Jalen Hayes and Percy Gibson, who, number one, were really good screeners, so they got me open all the time, and number two, were really good at scoring inside. So if I didn't have a shot, I wasn't the quickest guy in the world as a player, so I felt like if I didn't have a catch and shoot or a quick one dribble shot, then I would just give it to them and let them do what they did best, which is scoring the block. So I kind of like think we were all trying to be the best we could be in our role. So Kay Felder was trying to be the best, pretty much just monster point guard. Jalen Hayes, Percy Gibson trying to be the best big men. And then you can go down the line, Sharon Dorsey Walker, Martez Walker, great slashers, great spot-up shooters. And then I was just trying to be the best shooter. And we all kind of specialized at what we did, but ultimately that made us the best, I mean, by the numbers, the best offensive team in the country that year. So it was really just a product of me doing my job and coaches and teammates having ultimate confidence in me and having ultimate confidence in myself too.
Yeah, I mean, from definitely seeing you, because before, we get to Michigan State game, I saw that game. I saw you playing that game. Just in general, you shooting threes, I thought it was just, wow, this guy's always on fire. So, like, I know you pretty much already answered this, but just in general, based off of, like, how confident you were as a three-point shooter and, like you said, your role as a shooter, do you feel that's why you did not take a two-pointer at all throughout that season?
I mean, it was ultimate confidence in myself. The stars had to align because, like, my junior year, if you go look back, I stepped on the line on a couple of shots. So, like, that never happened my senior year. And my senior night, they actually reviewed one. They called it a three and reviewed it. And during the timeout, they just determined it was a three. And the crowd went crazy. It was at home, so the crowd went crazy because they just had to make sure it was a three. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. But yeah, I mean, I tried to block out the noise. There was a lot of noise, like you said, a lot of media attention, a lot of talk about it. Everyone wanted to ask questions every day. I tried to block it all out and just play my game and try to help my team win, because that was what was most important to me. We didn't make the NCAA tournament, which was heartbreaking. We had one of Oakland's best seasons, but when you don't make the tournament, you don't put that cap on your senior year. It's frustrating, but for me, I was just trying to make as many threes as I could to help the team win, and I knew that was my way to help the team win. So I was just trying to do my job.
Yeah, because I remember even being at your senior night game against University of Detroit Mercy. That was a fantastic game. So, I mean, like you said, you played in some big time games from your time at Oakland, including playing against nationally ranked Michigan State at the now demolished Palace of Auburn Hills, and taking them into overtime one of those games. Now, fortunately, you guys lost, but tell us what the atmosphere is like at the Palace, and like how nervous were you going up against a team nationally ranked like Michigan State?
Yeah. Let me think. Okay, so that was Well, first of all, what a lot of people don't know is that I had food poisoning the night before that game, so I didn't even participate in shoot around or in pregame warmups. I literally just laid down in the locker room until the game was about to start, and I ended up playing like 28 minutes, and didn't have my best game, but I made some big shots that game, and but there was no nerves going in. Number one, because I was so weak, I couldn't even I was just hoping to be able to play, and number two, we had just beaten Washington by 20 points at Washington 3 days prior. So we had a lot of confidence, and we were rolling. That Washington team was only okay, but they ultimately had 3 first-round picks in Marquise Chris, DeJounte Murray, and Matisse Thybulle. So they were loaded with talent. And Kay Felder was killing everyone in front of him. I think he had 37 against Washington. So, like, there was no nerves. We felt like we were favored against Michigan State, even though they were the number 1 team in the country. So we were really rolling. But Michigan State had a lot of momentum too, and we were excited for that game. Before that game, the best atmosphere I had been a part of was Syracuse St. John's at Madison Square Garden, but I wasn't really playing as much. So that game by far and away was the best atmosphere I was ever a part of. I'd say it was probably like 85% green in there, the Sparties. But we were kicking their butt early. I think we were up 13 and a half. And then, good old Bryn Forbes comes storming back and buries 8 threes, carries them to overtime. Denzel Valentine was injured, so he wasn't playing. And Kay Felder had 39 points. Really a crazy, crazy game. And that game and not making the NCAA tournament, 2 heartbreakers for me that season. But
yeah, I mean,
pretty amazing experience to be a part of.
Yeah, because look, I mean, with you being Oakland's main man for shooting threes, Braden Forbes obviously known for his 3-point shooting ability at Michigan State, now with the Spurs, and like you said, DeJounte Murray now with the Spurs as well, and all those other guys in the NBA as well. So it's just very interesting to hear, and it's I'm glad that it was one of your best experiences because the Palace is no more and it's completely gone.
I just saw that. Yeah, I saw the video of it.
Yeah, it's complete. Now it's just all rubble, and it's just I'm glad to hear that's one of your best memories and playing for Oakland. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, because it was definitely, like you said, you guys pretty much had a huge momentum in that game in general. So I'm sure everyone was at the edge of their seats, and it was just an amazing game to watch.
Yeah, I mean that would have been a program-altering win. To beat the number one team in the country, who's the in-state rival. I mean, Campy's never beaten Michigan State. He's played them almost every year, but he's never beaten them. So he wanted that one bad. We all wanted it bad, and I mean, we did everything we could, and ultimately the ball just didn't bounce our way. But it was really cool to be a part of that. Would have been even cooler if we won.
Oh, man, who knows? How everything would have been if that game would have come out the other way. But instead of talking about a little sadness to your loss, let's talk about a good accomplishment for you. So I'm sure you know that you're the only player in NCAA history to take over 200 3-pointers without attempting a 2-point shot, which I think that's a huge milestone. What does that mean to you to have that, and do you think that'll ever be broken?
I mean, I don't think anyone will shoot 257 threes and make 45% of them and never take. I mean, I don't see that happening. I think it was just, like I said, the stars had to align. It was such a unique thing. Because usually a guy who's shooting that many threes is less of a specialist than I was. Like, I was such an extreme – I was a role player, you know what I mean? I was an extreme role player. But, like, usually a guy who's shooting almost eight threes a game is usually like a star who's has the ball in their hands a lot. And, maybe someone will do it. But for now, I think it's very unique to me. And it's just – I mean, for me, that's a testament. I didn't have the quick foot speed where I can just get to the rim. Kay Felder can get to the rim without even trying. He's pretty much as quick as they get. So, like, I didn't have that. So I had to do the most with my tools. And I feel like I maximized that my potential as an offensive player by doing the most with my tools and not only, being extremely aggressive, but being smart with what I was doing and taking the right shots and the ones that I would be most effective taking, basically.
Yeah, I mean like you say, Kay Felder, he was such a quick guard. I mean, he was
unreal.
Not the biggest point guard in the world, but he definitely got the job done. And you two definitely, like I said earlier, definitely played well together, and that's what made Oakland such a threatening team is with the speed of Felder and his playmaking ability, and your shot creating ability was phenomenal. So after your career at Oakland, you worked out for the Detroit Pistons and the Utah Jazz, along with the Winchester Knicks, the New York's G League team. Tell us, did you meet any like big names in the NBA then, or working out at the time? And just tell us about like that experience working out for the in the NBA.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll just run you through that process. Right after I graduated at Oakland, I signed with an agent and headed out to LA to start doing pre-draft training. And then from there, I got the opportunity to work out with 5 NBA teams, the Warriors, the Kings, like you said, the Jazz, the Pistons, and the Wizards. So got that opportunity to run through, show my skills. Was a great eye-opening process. I was challenged in all those workouts, really talented guys I got to work out with. Even got to work out against Bryn Forbes in the Pistons workout, which was pretty cool. And, I obviously didn't get drafted, but had the opportunity to go to Summer League with the Oklahoma City Thunder my first year out. And then I was a G League at the time. It was D League, but first-round draft pick in the D League. And the number 16 pick to the Westchester Knicks. And the D League can be hit or miss. Sometimes you get your opportunities, sometimes you don't. So it was tough for me to get my footing right away and didn't get things rolling. But that was great to go through training camp, be a part of that team for part of the season before ultimately getting released. But it was a really great opportunity, and I became a professional basketball player. That was my goal. My goal was to play in the NBA, but I became a professional basketball player, and then the following year played pro in Canada, and ultimately felt like starting to pursue coaching would be my the most appropriate path for me. But I mean, that was my life dream, to be a pro, and I did it. So very proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something to be very proud of, and just working out with all those different organizations. I mean, especially what organizations like Golden State has accomplished over the past 5 or 6 years has been incredible. So now, like you said, unfortunately, with your NBA career was cut short. But like you said, you played in Canada. Did you ever consider going to play overseas to help you get another shot at the NBA?
I would have loved to. I just felt like where I was at in time, how my first few opportunities had gone. I just didn't really hit it out of the park and didn't have the best experience. What I was seeking as a pro was I was seeking my version of Oakland University, where I was going to get a chance to really be unleashed and utilized as a coach, as utilized by a coach as a player. And college basketball seems competitive compared to high school basketball. Pro basketball compared to college basketball makes college basketball seem like the rec league. It's extremely competitive, extremely cutthroat, and you could be on the team on the roster and then cut the next day, and no one cares, and they're just like, all right, where do you want your airplane ticket to be? So get the heck out of here. So ultimately, it's super, super competitive, and I just didn't get my footing going right away, and I felt like I have so much drive, so much passion, so much work ethic that I just wanted to channel that into being a great coach now. And just kind of really, it was one day I was trying to be the best shooter in the world, and the next day I just kind of shifted it. It was a tough pill to swallow, because as a competitor, you want to keep pushing, but you also want to set yourself up for greatness in the end and not just delay a path. Hey, I kind of got to look in the mirror and realize this isn't leading to where I want it to lead. And like I said, I just shifted those passions and that drive, and now I've got it all in on coaching.
Yeah, so I have you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned you're coaching with the Los Angeles Lakers. Can you tell us, or maybe with the Los Angeles's G League team, or in that organization? Can you tell us about that experience with the Lakers?
For sure. Well, I guess to give some context, the first coaching gig I had last year, I coached at Brewster Academy, which is a prep school, the prep school that I played at in New Hampshire. And we had we won the national prep championship, and I coached. It was really cool for me to go back because I coached with the coach who coached me at Brewster, Jason Smith. He's been there for 21 years now, and it was really cool to coach under him. But we had an incredibly talented team. We had Jalen LeCue, who went straight from high school to the Phoenix Suns, and about 7 other guys who signed high major Division I scholarships. So that was really cool for me to get my footing. Terrence Clark will be at Kentucky next year. He's a top 5 prospect, a potential lottery pick. So it was really cool to work with those guys and get my experience. But then ultimately I knew I wanted to get in the NBA. And it's funny enough, Miles Simon, one of our assistant coaches for the Lakers, was my trainer in high school, my skill development trainer in high school. And he helped me break into the NBA. And this year my role was coaching associate. So I was cutting up film, doing a lot of video work, but also helping with the workouts on court. Being a former player, I can not that I can, defend these guys or light them up, but I can give them my best shot. And that's part of my role. When we have injuries, I have to step in as a practice player and be a part of things. So it was pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, I mean, just
really
obviously
cool.
with the season, with everything going on, everything getting cut short. Now the season's going in Orlando, and 22 teams are prepping for the bubble in Orlando to pick up at the end of the month. So, I'm gonna piggyback on that question. Did you as a coach, did you work with like personally with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, all those guys? Did you have interactions with those guys on the team?
Absolutely, every day. I mean, that was my role. Like I said, it was a dual role. It was video, so you're cutting up film, you're learning how to do the video skills to help the coaches succeed. But also was on court. So I wasn't the one running the workouts. You know, I had just gotten my foot in the door, so I was assisting with the workouts. But, you know, every day, whoever needed it, whether it was LeBron, Anthony Davis, Kuzma, KCP, Caruso, you name it, we're rebounding, we're playing defense, if they're working on some defensive drills, we're going at them offensively. Sometimes a really cool part of the role was after a game when some of the guys on the bench didn't get that many minutes, we would have to come in early the next morning and run 5-on-5 scrimmages against them, our video staff against the players, to keep them fresh, because you never know when the 12th man, the 13th, 14th, 15th man is going to make an impact. So those guys have to stay just as ready as a guy like LeBron or Anthony Davis does. And so, yeah, on the court every day, at home games, at some of the away games, not every single away game, but at some of the away games involved. And just like I said, soaking it up every day, the knowledge. LeBron, you know, Frank Vogel, these guys, their basketball minds are incredible. So you just try to pick up the nuggets they're throwing down. And a really cool thing was my junior year at Oakland, Brandon Weems was our assistant coach, and he was LeBron's high school teammate. And so LeBron actually came to the arena one time, and he came and watched us play at Cleveland State. So he actually knew who I was and remembered me. And he would give me some shout outs during practice if I would hit a shot or something like that. So that was pretty cool.
That's incredible to hear, because considering, you know, Los Angeles is probably the number one team, and they are the number one team in the West right now in the bubble, with the Clippers as well, and with Milwaukee in the East. Those are the top three teams entering the bubble the rest of this season. So how do you think this this reboot, this whole new game for the NBA in Orlando is going to pan out at the end of the month?
Obviously, you know, fingers are crossed that the Lakers, you know, ultimately bring home the crown. But it's a crazy time in the world, and I think we're seeing that as everything's being affected. You know, school, we don't know what school is going to look like in the fall. We don't know what pro basketball, baseball, football. We don't know what's going to go on with these teams. We don't know what's going to go on with travel. Can you travel? You know, we don't know what's really going on. And the NBA is taking all their precautions, doing the best they can to put a product out there for the fans and for the players to be able to finish the season. Because, I mean, I know I busted my ass all year to help the Lakers win. I know the players busted their asses all year. So, no, we want to see this thing through and see how the chips fall and see where it ultimately ends up. And hopefully sooner than later we can get back to not having to do with this craziness and operate, you know, normally with fans, and get the NBA back to what the amazing sport and league and game that it really is. But for now, this is the best we can do, and hope fingers are crossed that everyone can be safe and healthy, and that you know, we do the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, not only for like you, Max, working in the organization, but for us as well, who cover the sport, you know, as frequently as we do. You know, we want the sport back, because we need something to talk about. We need games to talk about. We need, you know, high competitive playoff games and playoff series to talk about in not only basketball and baseball, and hopefully football and college football will come back as well. But very interesting experience from your time in LA. And we hope that you continue to be great with the Lakers as well. Even though I'm hoping that my Spurs will bring home the championship when it comes down to it in the West. I mean, hey, anything can happen, right, in this bubble. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting with all these teams, especially with their reboot, and they've had all this time to work out and stuff like that. So, and that's all we have for you, Max. Max, thank you so much for coming on with us today. We really appreciate your time, and best of luck to you with the Lakers heading forward.
Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Brian, Aaron. Appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate the thoughtful questions, and yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem, baby.
Of
Make
course.
Make sure you give us a shout out and recommend us to all your teammates and former teammates,
Will do.
You know, coworkers and stuff. And hey, throw our name out to LeBron. See if we can get him on. So
I wish.
But thank you so much again, Max.
Thank you.
And hopefully we will talk to you soon, and maybe have you back on after this whole bubble thing is over to discuss your Lakers possibly winning the championship.
Let's do it. Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Max.
Awesome. Stay
Take
safe.
care.